bum, 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 chicka chicka. And hello and welcome to Finish My Story, where we try to tell narratively complex stories one line at a time. Yeah, it's time to listen to a story of love.
Ooh. That was beautiful.
Thank you. Yes, happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Happy
Who's
Valentine's
here? Hi,
Day.
It's me. Hi, I'm
Hi,
Peter.
me. Oh, hi, Peter.
I'm Peter. Hey.
Hi, Peter. I'm John.
Hey, John. Hey, John. And
I love you guys.
Oh, wait, it's Caroline. She's back from
Hi.
outer space. She just came in to find you here with that sad look upon your face.
Guess who's back?
Back
again.
Did I ever leave?
Oh,
I was the Australian in the closet last week.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're in the cupboard?
Yeah.
No, we already did that joke.
I like where this is going.
Anyway, welcome back, guys. It's been a week, and we're going to do a Valentine's Day themed episode for you, all you lonely hearts and not so lonely hearts out there. Caroline's married. So,
Love is in the air.
and John is in a long-term relationship,
Yes.
and I am single. So we have all your bases covered for all you people out there.
Or, I mean, we could spend the time wondering what Peter's doing wrong.
Lots of things.
We hope so.
Yikes. Like a snake. Hey guys, welcome. If it's your first time listening, as I said, we're going to try to tell narratively complex stories.
One line.
At a time.
And I like that. Ooh,
Yeah.
A flair.
It's my Valentine's Day voice.
Ooh, I like it.
It's
Well,
like
let's all do a
it's like
Valentine's Day
butter
voice.
for your ears, which I do literally.
He does butter his ears. I've seen it before. Now, let's find out before we get going to this whole story nonsense. We got to find out what moods we're in, what mindsets we're in. So what, Caroline, what have you been watching and listening to lately that you want to tell the listeners at home about?
A little bit of This Is Us.
Oh, nice and sad.
Mm-hmm. And a little bit of HGTV.
Okay.
I have an issue.
Less sad.
So, less sad.
Yeah.
Well, sad in a different way. Sad
Oh,
for Caroline.
Question, do you find This Is Us to be monologue the show?
Oh, yeah.
Is it like, there's
You know
like...
what I found to be a lot like that was the first season of Outlander. And I
Oh.
started calling it Outliner. Because she outlined everything that was going to happen. And I am not normally violent, but it made me
Very upset.
go to a violent place.
Reminds me of Hook, where
Line and sinker.
the movie Hook,
Yeah.
Spielberg, with Robin Williams,
Yes.
where Roger Ebert said that it was the movie where Peter Pan said what he was going to do, did it, and then told everybody what he did.
Oh, my God, yes. Oh, the other thing I saw this week was
Yes.
Green Book.
Oh, what'd you think?
I loved it.
Okay, we've got a
The
love
Southern
for
accent's
Green
coming
Book.
out.
Mm-hmm,
Yano Todd, have you seen Green Book?
I haven't seen Green Book.
Have you watched an Oscar movie the last week? Because I have.
I haven't.
Okay, well, what have you watched?
I've been watching, of course, my steady slew of the bad reality television.
we all know.
I watched, because you recommended it, I watched Russian Doll.
Oh, what do you think?
Amazing.
Spectacular.
It also reminded me of somebody that we both know from our college.
Shout them out. Give their name.
Dahlia.
Oh,
100%.
yeah.
So I just watched the entire show thinking that it was somebody that I knew.
Hopefully she's not listening. She won't be. No,
I mean, no, she'd love that. I don't know.
Fine. Hopefully you are listening. I don't care.
But yeah, and then other than that, I'm watching some Australian reality TV shows, like always.
All right.
I've been getting onto Botched, which is a
Oh,
reality
man,
show on...
that's dark.
It's not
Oh,
dark.
this is the cosmetic surgery gone wrong.
Yeah.
Here's
So-
the thing. You sign up. You don't know what's going to happen.
Isn't there Celebrity Botched, too?
I mean, there are celebrities on the show, but it's not so much that you sign up for it, you don't know what's going to happen. It's literally people who have had bad plastic surgery, and they just go to these people to have it fixed. And it's a lot like the real life nip tuck, where like one part of it's for someone who just wants the surgery. There's another part for someone who needs the surgery for their life. Oh, it's a cool show, and they use real medical jargon, so it's not just watered down nonsense.
Real jargon.
I love Pimple Popper.
Oh God,
MD.
Oh God, I don't want to.
I saw that existed, and I
Made me so excited.
It made me squirm in a million ways, and I'm putting my hands on my face right now.
That's my dream Valentine's Day.
Do not adjust your radios.
That was me. Sorry.
That is
Made me
Peter's uncomfortable noise.
This is why you're still single. You won't let anyone pop your pimples.
No.
He doesn't have any. He's glowing.
He's not glowing. He's not pregnant.
I was in Miami celebrating a wedding.
Oh,
of two
Miami?
beautiful people.
Miami.
Because it's Valentine's Day. I actually think it has nothing to do with Valentine's Day, but we are celebrating love here. So congratulations, Wells and Kelly.
Choose love.
You did it. Choose love. What have I been watching? Great question.
What have you been watching, Peter?
Last night I went and saw Vice. Finally.
Oh, what do you think? Oh, no.
I thought it was spectacular. I've heard a lot of people being like, I don't know, but I thought it was freaking spectacular. And I love the way Adam McKay tells a story, and I think he did a really good job with this one. And it's also incredibly depressing and upsetting. And I was just grabbing my face and just like holding it like for the last like quarter of the movie, just like, oh my god, I can't believe this fucking happened. And we all just sat there and let it fucking happen.
It's hard to watch. That was the last Oscar movie that I watched, and then I took a break.
Yeah,
it takes a lot out of you. Christian Bale is amazing,
he's so good,
and like
I never want to be the guy who like pumps up Christian Bale, because I kind of think any actor who like violently changes their body just for shits and giggles is kind of annoying, but he was so good.
You mean his trainer?
Yeah. Well, no, he like gains a bunch of weight and loses a bunch of weight,
like,
and gains a bunch of weight and loses a bunch of weight in Machinist. It's like, it's not healthy. He's gonna die early, and it's just that's a bad precedent for actors in the world that like.
But
De Niro did it. I mean, that was his thing.
I know, and I'm saying I don't think it's a good.
Orson Welles did it without trying or wanting to.
Oh, the French champagne.
But if he wins, what is his Oscar speech going to be? Because his Golden Globe speech, was it SAG speech?
I don't know. I think it's going to be off camera. It's going to be during a break.
Yeah, that's the one they'll move.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. It was really depressing, and he is spectacular. He really does seem like Chaney, and it's like really like, wow.
Like, the best and worst thing I can say about the movie is that Christian Bale is so great that you will forget that you are watching Christian Bale.
Yes.
And you will just think that you are watching these horrible stories that remind you of where you were at a certain time and make you feel icky about being a human being.
And Sam Rockwell is like unrecognizable.
He really inhabits Bush too. I was like, I know Sam Rockwell.
That's what she said.
Like,
you don't think he'll win 2 years in a row though, right?
I don't know. I doubt it. But
Mahershala Ali was so good in Green Book.
Yeah, I think he's got a good chance.
But Bradley Cooper, now that's a love story. He missed out on the Oscar for Silver Linings Playbook.
Yeah.
But Jennifer Lawrence got it. And then he's missed out on all these awards this time for A Star Is Born, but Lady Gaga's got them.
So he's giving other people awards.
So
he's a nice guy.
He is a nice guy.
Anyway,
that you look like him.
Yeah,
you're handsomer than he is.
Oh no, that's not true at all.
It is. If you can't see what we can see, listeners,
I'm cutting all of this out. All right, so great. Let's get into it this week. Before we get going, if it's your first time, again, like I said, we're trying to tell narratively complex stories one line at a time. We have some special things like
we do a story pause.
Well, what's that, John?
Peter will be telling a part of the story, or Carol. It's just,
or even you.
It could be anyone is telling a part in the story, and then someone says story pause.
Story pause. What?
What?
There needs to be a clarification in the story, or perhaps there just needs to be a moment where we can make fun of the person who said something.
Sure.
Either something dumb or just they gave a bad accent.
Of course.
Story pause. Yeah. Are you saying that anyone can say story pause at any time and pause the story?
Yes, but you are the one who has. If you pause the story, you're the one who has to resume it.
How do you do that?
Thank you.
Oh, she stole my line.
That was good.
Oh,
yeah, have it back for Valentine's Day. Have it back.
Putting it in. We also have a story punishment, which we haven't done in a while, so fingers crossed. But basically, if we screw something up, we're gonna get a bing,
bing,
bing.
And if you get binged, that means at the end of the episode, the person with the most bings gets punished, and you can punish us on our social media platforms and see some of our old punishments there as well.
You can see me twirling some glow sticks.
Glow sticks around. That was taken off of YouTube because of the audio.
How did human rights
makes no
groups
sense.
not object?
Yeah. I had to eat a bunch of chicken and then run and eat more chicken and run. And then that didn't stay on Instagram because the story thing got screwed up. Anyway, you can find that Instagram at Finish My Story Podcast. on Instagram and Facebook, or Finish Storycast on Twitter. And
you guys want to see people getting punished, right?
Yeah.
I'm not talking to you, Peter. Okay, because you're one of the people who could be punished.
It's true.
I'm talking to the people
at home.
Talking to the people at home.
Yeah.
Thank you for finishing my story.
Not like like whipped or anything. Like funny punishments.
Yeah, no.
What about it? Because it's Valentine's Day, you have to go out and propose to the first 3 people you see on the street.
We're not trying to make people cry.
Yeah, it would be a great punishment. Yeah. Except for the people who then don't get proposed to. They'll probably be sad.
Yeah.
No, I think everyone in that group would be anyone who's asked to be married will be sad. That A, could be that I approached them. That could be sad. B, they could get excited and they could say yes. And you go, kidding. That makes them sad.
Oh, it's some high school stuff right there.
Look, I mean, I overthink everything, okay? Yeah. You can't get out of this good. Well.
Yeah, so let's get into this story. So, of course, we are going to do a Valentine's Day themed episode. We're sitting around and we're like, what should we do? And Caroline brought up a story. She got flowers from her lovely husband, who's really, really spectacular human being, just like she is. And what did it say on the card?
Happy PNG VD.
See, that stands for Papua New Guinea Valentine's Day because he's in Papua New Guinea right now. And so but we thought, oh, wait a minute.
And they're a day ahead.
That's Valentine's Day. And we talked about...
Peek behind the curtain. We are recording this on the 13th. That's the only way the story makes sense.
But it's the 14th in Australia and Papua New Guinea and Indonesia.
Yeah, so
and New Zealand.
John.
Happy Valentine's
and
Day.
Samoa.
Yeah.
Apia. But we were saying V-Day, and we realized we were talking about VD last week.
Wait.
And not venereal disease. That was actually how it came up.
Wait.
Because we were talking about Jesus Christ venereal disease, remember?
Yeah, JCVD.
Yes, JCVD. Because we used the name JCVD, which is, of course, short for
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
You should have known that.
Yeah, you should have known that.
We should do one each. Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Also... what is like the major motif of Valentine's Day?
The heart.
The heart. And what does the heart do?
Chocolate.
Boom, 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 boom. Sometimes it arrests. Sometimes you'll get cardiac tamponade.
I'm talking about like generally it pumps blood to the rest of your body. So why not combine the heart and JCVD, VD for Valentine's Day, and we'll do Jean-Claude Van Damme's blood movie, Bloodsport.
Yeah,
it makes total sense.
Happy Valentine's Day.
That made more sense than it should have.
I know.
I love it.
Where did that come from?
Because you just fell in love with it.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
Happy to help. So John's going to take the first line.
Oh, my God.
And Caroline, it's your first time following up a first line.
Ooh.
And it'll be second. We'll see how that goes. And then I'll be after that. And then John goes again. And then Caroline goes again. And then it's me. And then after that, who is it?
Me.
Oh, it's John again. And then after that, who is it?
Caroline.
Okay. And then it's just like continues like that until the end of the story. So let's do it.
Yeah.
Take it away, boy.
Like they say.
Take them away, toys.
Jackson, are you going to go to Hong Kong?
Marianne said as she looked at the ticket that clearly said, tonight, 8 p.m., Hong Kong Air, touching down tomorrow morning in Hong Kong.
No, I'm not, Jackson said.
Thinking that it would be convincing for its worked times before.
Marianne and Jackson had been roommates for 10 years, and while they were best friends and everybody thought they'd end up together, they hadn't so far.
Marianne worked as a fish cleaner in a small seafood shop in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, where the two lived.
Marianne got the job from an ad in the paper which said work to scale, which she thought was something else, but after working there for a few days, she felt trapped and couldn't quit.
Also, not having an active visa for Cambodia, which is very difficult for Americans to obtain, she wanted to stick with the job as long as she could because they didn't mind that they were paying her under the table.
So here she stood with her roommate Jackson 10 years later, who she had met actually on the airplane, coincidentally, which is crazy, holding a ticket to Hong Kong, wondering if she was going to be trapped alone.
Marianne couldn't afford to pay for the apartment by herself, but there was something in between her and her roommate which was impeding on their communication.
Why was he holding this ticket and saying he wasn't going to Hong Kong when he was clearly going to Hong Kong?
Bing. Join me in the Bing, Jonathan.
Bing.
See, Caroline said, why was he holding the ticket? She was holding the ticket.
Oh. I've been banged.
You've been bunged.
We gonna punish you.
It's my first Bing.
It's your first Bing.
On Valentine's Day.
Or we're gonna do some fun stuff. Sorry, resume. Why are you going to Hong Kong and telling me you're not? I clearly have this ticket that says you are. And it's just we're not communicating the right way lately. Something's been impeding our communication. So just tell me, what's going on, Jackson?
Jackson wanted to tell her oh so badly. It had been on the tip of his tongue for years that they've lived together. But he couldn't. And so he took the ticket back.
He couldn't tell her that he loved her so much he decided he'd had to move on because she was not interested. He couldn't tell her that he had found someone in Hong Kong who would be at the same anthropology conference he was going to.
You see, Jackson wasn't in the fish cleaning business. No, he was an forensic anthropologist studying the indigenous peoples of Cambodia, which is actually a pretty interesting job. There's a lot of really in-depth work. You know, you just Google it, but he was doing it, and he liked living with someone who was not in his own field.
But now it felt like he and Marianne weren't even on the same planet.
They'd fought early in the week on Monday about toothpaste. They'd fought on Friday about takeout food. And they'd fought about whether they needed to get a replacement cat on Saturday.
A replacement cat for their cat, Edward, who had passed away just last week of cat disease.
Jackson turned his back to her and walked to the door, his bags by the side, waiting for him.
He slung the bags up on his shoulders, which had been getting larger as he was working out, as a way to channel his frustration that their relationship was going nowhere.
I just have to go, he said.
We can make this work, she said. Just don't leave. Tonight I'll prove it to you.
Marianne was concerned about him. His stutter was back. A stutter that only emerged under extreme stress, and a stutter that he had not had to deal with since they'd been living together.
You say you can prove it tonight, but I'm supposed to leave tonight.
I'm just how pleased you are with yourself.
Jackson went over to the thermostat and turned up the temperature, for it was clearly much too cold in this room.
This was another thing they'd argued about the thermostat and what to leave it on. But Marianne did not harp on that tonight. Tonight she could prove to him that there was something special here. I will take you, she said, to the airport.
Suddenly, a gasp arose in the room next door. These damn thin walls, he thought to himself.
He immediately moved on to the thought that someone was listening in on their conversation, and not on the aspect that Marianne had put her love on the line, saying she would prove how much she loved him by letting him go. It was too heavy for him to think about in that moment, so he wanted to think about the possibility of other people listening in so that others could tell him what to do.
Sherry listened into a great deal of her neighbors' chit-chat and roller coaster, will they, won't they kind of relationship. She loved it. And in Cambodia, no one takes people to the airport. The traffic is insane. Get a lift, she yelled from the next door.
But in all his overthinking about whether or not he was thinking about the person next door, he didn't stop to think about what Marianne was really saying underneath her words. She had just sort of implied for the first time that she loved him, and he did not believe she loved him. If he was listening, maybe he would have.
Jackson was a very, very bad listener. He even thought the person next door screamed, "Do you even lift?" and got really upset at the idea that he didn't work out.
For he had been working out hard and long to channel his frustration of the relationship not going the way that he wanted.
It was a classic romantic comedy scenario. Two people who love each other but won't admit it for fear of hurting each other. So they just kind of look at each other all the time lovingly, and they're too dumb to realize that they both love each other. But, of course, this is normal and this happens.
In that moment, they stared into each other's eyes. Jackson lost in thought, and Marianne worried about what was going on inside Jackson's mind and why it was taking him so long to speak out loud.
She knew when he started to stutter that he got caught up in his own thoughts and that he may have been beating himself up inside, which made her feel sympathetic but less attracted to him.
When suddenly they heard a loud thud in the room next door.
It could have been 2 rooms away because the walls were very, very thin. But he decided he wanted to investigate.
The walls were thin in Cambodia as part of a government spying network during the cruel rule of Pol Pot. This is why the walls were so thin.
Story pause. The CSN, the Cambodian Spy Network?
Yeah.
They do good work. Okay, story resume.
I need to investigate that, Jackson said.
Transforming into a type of investigatory monster as he spoke.
It was in his nature to examine culture. That's what drove him to anthropology in the first place.
So he went next door and rat-tat-tat-tat-tat on Sherry's door, but there was no answer.
And so he rang the bell, because the doors were much thicker than the walls.
I told you to get a lift before, Sherry shouted.
I'm not talking to you, Jackson yelled back, and then went to the door one past it and rang the bell first this time.
Jackson looked to his side and noticed that Mary Ann wasn't standing with him. He was investigating on his own, and the door to his apartment was closing with his bags on the other side.
Mary Ann, he shouted. But then he saw her walking through the door with all of his luggage in her little arms, struggling to the car with her keys trapped in her teeth. She was going to drive him to the airport, whether he liked it or not.
But he had bigger fish to fry, as it were, and not even talking about the large bass he had caught for dinner that he had planned on frying. So he rang the bell again, and again there was no answer.
This highlighted another problem in their relationship, and that Jackson thought he needed to go catch a fish when Mary Ann worked at a fish market. They never were on the same page.
I know it's something you're doing for us, but when I've spent all day cleaning fish and I come home stinking of fish, the last thing I want to see from my roommate is a fish,
she would say. All of these thoughts came flying back to Jackson and his love of her as he waited and waited for someone to answer the door before finally deciding action must be taken.
Mary Ann, I need to do this thing, and I know you're not going to like it, but I need to ask a favor of you, and I hope that you'll say yes. Would you please drive me to the airport?
This is one of the first times he'd ever actually asked Mary Ann for help. She was pleased and said, I'll get the car started. You do what you need to do with the ringing of that bell on that strange, strange small door. Door.
Story pause. What just happened?
I did it in I don't know what accent, and then I corrected it, and then I was so happy with my correction, I celebrated it with an extra door.
Because it's like really different in
Door.
like door.
I think I said
Door.
door first, and then door.
Go to the door.
Door.
Story resume.
Also, I already said I would, and I already put your things in the car, and I feel like you're just not listening to me. You really have a problem with listening. Listening is a problem for you, she said, repeatedly. But Jackson wasn't listening.
Was that a yes?
Of course it was a yes. I just told you 3 times you're not listening. Jackson had already turned to putting his shoulder to the little door.
All right, little door. It's time for you to meet your maker. Well, I don't know who made you, but I just, time for you to go. So he slammed his shoulder into the door.
But the only thing that broke was inside of his soft body.
Jackson had 4 older brothers who'd often called him soft body. And this injury took him back to being the youngest of 4 boys and the weakest.
I really shouldn't have done that, he said out loud. Especially because, I'm such an idiot. I'm a master lockpick.
Story pause. Is this little door inside Sherry's apartment, or is it in...
It's in the hallway. It's the door to the apartment next to Sherry's
Next to Sherry's. Okay, gotcha. Story resume.
And so swiftly and without any problem, Jackson opened the door.
Thick incense filled the room that he had entered through the small door. Door.
And through the haze, he could see the outline of what appeared to be a person lying on the ground.
At closer inspection, this person lying on the ground was almost as if, yes, there was sushi lined across the body. A human plate.
A small Yoda-like figure picked the sushi off the body, eating it in a disgusting manner.
And as Jackson approached, it looked at him. "What are you doing here?" "Excuse me, what are you doing here?" the little man said.
I'm sorry to ask you, and this might be hard in this moment because I see that I'm in the middle of your dinner, but do you think you could give me a ride to the airport?
You see, my friend, like my best friend who I live with, said that she would take me, but I don't really want to have to owe her that.
Because I love her and I don't think she loves me back, and I should probably just tell her, but I'm not going to do that. Also, did you fall earlier? Are you okay? I heard a loud thud.
Jackson didn't realize that Marianne had been crawling after him through the door, and she too was in the apartment listening in on what was being said.
You love me?
Oh, shit. Yeah, I do.
It was amazing. Jackson didn't stutter.
Which was usually the effect Marianne had had on him.
I love you too, Jackson. Why did you not tell me all this time?
Jackson tried to put his words together, and in doing so, knelt down, grabbed a piece of sushi, had a bite, and came with this.
I've loved you for the longest time, but I was too shy to let you know. And then as the years went by, I thought if I just hold out a little longer, we won't ever have to have a conversation about whether we're having children or not.
Because I don't think it's ethically right to bring children into a world like this, and I feel like you are gonna want children, and I thought, well, it's better left unsaid.
And it's not that I can't talk to you about this because I can. I don't want to. I don't have anybody else waiting for me in Hong Kong. I don't know why I said that. Let me start over.
I sound like such a douche. Okay. I I'm going to stop you right there, Marianne said. I love you too, and because I love you, there's no way I'm going to let you miss that anthropology conference.
I wasn't actually going for an anthropology conference. I was going to get away from you because I thought our love was untenable. So, I guess I can just not go.
The small Yoda-like figure watched intently, loving what he was hearing and loving even more what he was tasting.
He loved the taste of love in the air and sushi.
For when we say Yoda-like figure, we don't mean a small man. He was actually a creature called a cupadulor, which is a special creature native to Southeast Asia that feasts on declarations of love.
What?
In a good way.
He ate up the air.
This is a good day for me because I've been living here for 10 years, nearly starving to death. You idiots! Were you not declaring love for one another, huh?
Excuse me, why were you not declaring love for one another, is what I was trying to say. Sorry, I had some sushi in my throat and some love declarations. I'm so happy for both of you, especially with such thin walls.
5 small Yoda-like figures ran to the dining table person and grabbed small chopsticks. Yes, even this monster had his own children.
I once worked on Married at First Sight, and I can tell you for sure I nearly died of starvation. I could not feed my children. There was no love there.
But this love is real. It is accurate. It is love, and I know because I am fully sated now from just one declaration of love. You two lovebirds, oh you.
Jackson put his hand out for Marianne to take. Before Marianne could or did, or had the moment to, she made eye contact with Jackson, and he with her, through the incense and haze-filled room that smelled like her place of work.
They held hands for the first time as a romantically linked couple, and it was electric.
Boogie woogie woogie.
As the small Yoda-like figure continued on about the different love he had devoured, love in the air, not literal love, Jackson and Marianne, hand in hand, kneeled down and exited the small door back into the hallway, holding each other.
So, Hong Kong?
Not today, sweet cheeks. But maybe on our honeymoon?
Our honeymoon, huh? Marianne said. We're not even a couple yet.
You want to go steady?
I mean, sure. I guess we've known each other for 10 years, so it makes sense.
Hey, 10 long years.
She said as a callback to the argument they'd had on Monday.
And so the two looked at each other, standing in front of their apartment. Why they hadn't gone in yet, I don't know. And as they leaned in to kiss, they heard from the room next door,
Do you even lift, bro?
Jackson grimaced. But Marianne loved his grimace.
And actually, Jackson had misheard. For you see, Sherry had yelled, "Do you even kiss, bro?"
Marianne grabbed Jackson by the face, looked him dead in the eye, and pulled him closer.
They kissed. A kiss that was one of the top 10 kisses in all of history.
And they lived happily ever for like 5 years, and then things started to go awry. They realized they weren't great for each other. I mean, he really didn't listen, and it wasn't a problem that was going away. So, like, 5 years later, they decided that they did love each other, but it was just time to move on.
And Jackson knew that in this moving on, he had to change his name from Jackson to Jean-Claude.
Jean-Claude VD.
Short for Jean-Claude Venn diagram.
Which, after weighing all the pros and cons on the name, he sort of settled in the middle.
Story pause. Good Venn diagram joke.
Thanks, man.
I just got... That's very good.
It was a Venn diagram joke.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard one of those before.
That's what makes it inherently not good.
I really enjoyed it.
Story was it?
He missed Marianne from time to time, but he had moved on.
And she had as well. And you may know her as Ellen DeGeneres, as she used her knowledge of fish cleaning to lead one of Disney's most successful fish-based franchises.
And Jackson, or Jean-Claude, could finally go to Hong Kong for the sole purpose that he wanted to 5 years before.
So you see, they found love in their lives from other aspects of life.
Also, Marianne/Ellen realized she wasn't into men, which helped her a lot.
And Jean-Claude found love in Bloodsport.
Which was very, very popular in Hong Kong.
And at the movie theater he was seeing it is where he met the woman he loved, is what we're implying.
Uh-huh.
Terry was a mixed martial artist. And any time he was worried that he was going to stutter, Terry would launch an attack on him, distracting his stutter.
Story pause. She called it terrorizing. Okay. Terrorism.
And Jean-Claude and Terry and Ellen, of course, as you know, lived happily ever after. For real this time.
The end.
Was that a question?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
No, this is opening it up for a sequel.
Ooh. JCVD returns. Hey. Fun story, guys.
Not where I thought it was going.
Nope.
And I wonder what happened to that sushi lady plate.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
she
we
was just
really
a-
objectified her. We didn't give her a name. We didn't give her a
Well,
purpose.
she was like, I mean, that happens.
No, but Marianne also was very, very willing to take back Jackson or Jean-Claude after like all the things he admitted to in his stupidity.
Yeah.
Mm.
Hey,
That's love.
what did you guys learn today? But hey, that's love.
I know. If everybody loved each other, the world
World
would
be a better place.
Thank you. So beautiful.
We love The Room.
What's that from?
The Room.
Oh.
The worst movie ever made.
Yeah, we've talked about it before, I think. Did we do a The Room themed episode? We did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, too.
Go listen to it if you haven't.
I learned that love can be stagnant if you make it.
Mm.
And if it does, have a sushi night.
I learned not to ever declare love in Southeast Asia if you are afraid of small creatures.
Yeah. You didn't know that? Peter.
I learned never to offer to take anyone to the airport.
That one you really should have known.
That's a thing you will learn in LA.
Yes. Do you guys ever feel bad where like you really do want to ride to and from the airport, but you're not going to ask anyone because you're just not that kind of person?
I've felt so bad about asking for a ride to the airport that I didn't even ask my own parents.
Ow.
Oh.
That's sad.
I've had rides to the... My roommate and I drive each other to the airport.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, it's easier when you're like living with someone and you're like, I have to go to the airport because then they can offer.
Also,
I'm
if you
never
go
gonna
and
ask.
sit in their car with your luggage and you say, I've got to go to the airport, not in the driver's... Yeah, not in the driver's seat. That's like a schoolboy error. Just make sure you're in the passenger seat.
I like to just hide in the trunk and then, like, in the middle of the ride, like, pop out from the foldable back seat.
But we're talking about getting rides to the airport now.
Okay, well, yeah. I mean, I can reroute the car wherever I wanted to go once I get behind the wheel.
I do love hiding in places and jumping out and scaring people. It is my favorite thing to do.
Really?
Yes.
It's true.
Is that how you got your nickname, the Australian in the closet?
It's one of 3 ways.
Oh, 3 ways. Okay.
I mean, now
We went totally off the rails. I
Yeah,
apologize
no,
for that.
don't-
This is so that's not like
There's no
me
need to
or this
apologize.
podcast.
It is exactly like us. It's exactly who we are. Speaking of exactly who we are, we have some social media platforms. And why am I bringing them up?
Because we gonna ding somebody.
Because we going up on this camera line.
Oh, yeah. Punish me. That sounded wrong.
That sounded bad. Yeah.
terrible.
No. Okay. I will just say right now, this
Mhm.
podcast doesn't stand for that.
No.
No
Yeah.
one has ever made sexual jokes on this podcast.
Never,
before.
not once.
I
And
didn't mean for that to
I am offended to the Aaron Eckhart core. Okay.
Okay, so definitely one of the options. So here's the thing. We haven't been punished anyone in a while. You, dear listeners, get to vote on how Caroline is going to be punished. We're going to post it on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. There'll be a poll on Twitter, and then on Instagram, you just write A, B, or C, and then on Facebook, you'll use the reactions to choose. So you have many ways to choose how you're going to punish her.
Like, for instance, I just made some really lovely chicken and vegetable soup last night. So maybe you could say, I have to eat a whole bowl of that.
No.
Oh, what? No, that's too much.
No.
Or I have to go and see Vice at the
No.
movies because you said that was really rough.
Yep. Nope. One will definitely be you have to propose to 3 strangers on the street. Thanks for putting that idea in our heads. Like, that's definitely happening.
Don't use me against me.
There's got to be a Bloodsport related thing. We'll figure it out. And what will the third one be?
Jump out and scare 3 strangers.
Oh, yeah, 'cause
You'll enjoy that too much.
that's a way to find Bloodsport.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will be killed.
Cambodia.
Let's clean some fish. Doo-boo-doo-doo.
Oh, no.
Who wants to create some scales? Okay.
She has to eat sushi off of herself.
No. No.
No one wants to see that.
We can make it a musical-based punishment, and that she has to practice her scales.
Oh.
Boo.
I was saying boo earns.
Boo earns. I mean, it could do a fish cleaning thing.
Yeah, but that's a punishment for us too.
Yeah.
I
And
have
it's
to
not-
wait at the gym behind, like the scales where they weigh people and put my foot on the back of them.
Again, Bloodsport. They don't want you getting punched or
Yeah,
kicked.
we want to keep you safe. We'll figure it out, and those of you at home. But there'll definitely be Bloodsport one. There'll definitely be the engagement one, and we want our listener engagement. Heyo! So find us on Finish My Story podcast.
Podcast. Yeah, podcast.
Finish My Story podcast.
You're ducking
on
it up, bro.
Instagram and Facebook, or Finish Story Cast on Twitter. Do you guys have
Because you
anything
went
else?
method on Jackson,
Yeah.
and now
I
you've
got
got a
so
speech
stuttery.
impediment.
Blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
Guys, have anything to add?
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Australians are cheaters?
Yeah, it's true. What do you got? What you
Cheetahs
got a problem
or
with that?
cheaters?
Yeah.
You got a problem with
They're
that?
both of them. They're both.
Cheetahs are in
They're
Africa.
both cheaters and cheaters.
There's not
Nah,
two
that
of
sounds like
us.
cheaties. Like
You have
from
to
the big-
outrun them because they're fierce. That was a little New Zealand.
That was South African.
This is getting real bad right here.
All right. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Have a great rest of your romantic dinner. I know you're sitting there
Ooh.
and you're eating a beautiful romantic meal, maybe some salmon.
We
maybe
really
some
set the
steak.
mood.
And you're like, what can we do to make this better? By candlelight with the rose petals all around. Let's put on 3 random people on the internet talking and saying weird, stupid shit. That's a good way to set the mood. So have a great rest of this long, now almost 55-minute long meal.
Declare love to
really
the
great meal.
It's a magnum
third
Declare
size.
person
love.
you see today.
Yes, and bye.
Bye.
Holy shit, I have a conference.
Those coaches are not going to discover themselves.
Those cultures aren't going to be ruined by whiting themselves.